Okay, hey guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for popping on here with me live. Even though we are recording it, it's always nice to be doing this all together at the same time. Okay, so for our very first task that we're gonna do, this might take a little bit. We are going to make a post for tomorrow. And I really wanted to share the way that myself and so many other top leaders in this industry write their posts. And I wanted to talk to you guys about the power of sharing your story. Because I find, and I'll talk about this a little bit in a little bit, but I find so many people coming into this have this notion that they need to be inspiring. So they try to be inspiring all the time. They try to find, quotes from books or Pinterest or whatever. And then that's all great. But a lot of the times, this is something that people have heard over and over and over again. And when you hear that repetition of something, especially things that are found on the internet everywhere, it loses its power. I mean, the first time, let's say the first time that we've heard a quote about the law of attraction, we're like, yes, oh my God, and we're so excited about it. But once we hear it over and over and over again, and we're not taking action into what we know about what this book is saying or whatever it may be, it loses that power. But what your story has, the power your story has, trumps anything else out there, because there are people on your social media, there are people in this world that are meant to be on your team. We are also unique. We all have something different to bring to the table, and we all have our people out there. And when you share your story, when you get raw and real with people about who you are, what your goals are and what you're going after in this life, and people can connect to that, you're going to have a unstoppable team of women and men. I see Darnell's on here. You're going to have an unstoppable team of men and women who are going to go the distance with you, because you guys are all on the same path. Drop a comment if that makes sense to you guys. So I'm going to share with you how to build a post using your story. Okay. So the first step of sharing your story, and you guys, we're going to do this all together. Okay. Because I want all of you to write this post for tomorrow, and you don't have to finish it tonight, but get it going. Sometimes my posts take a little bit to write. So what was your life like before? Okay. What was your life like before you started this? And for those of you who are brand new, this is going to be so easy because most of you are still in that space. So, for myself, when I think about what my life was before I got into this industry, as a high school dropout, I did not really have anything going on for myself. I partied a lot. I was in debt. I was like swimming in credit card debt, you guys. I didn't have help out of high school financially. Like I said, I dropped out. I moved out early, started working early, had worked like 2 to 3 jobs at a time just to make ends meet. I was that person who was calculating how much was in my grocery cart to make sure that I had enough in my bank account to pay for it. And then had multiple times where my card would decline. I remember paying for my gas in quarters. Like I could go on and on about what my life was like before. And ultimately, that was what led me to this. But I remember I reacted negatively to everything that was going on in my life. I would always say like the world's out to get me, or I'm not meant for anything big in this life. I can't be successful because I didn't go to college. Like I had all of these excuses and these stories that I told myself that were obviously we know are untrue now, but at the time they were so real. And I knew that there had to be something more. I got to a point in my life where I knew that there had to be something more. And when you are sharing this part of your story, that pain, that struggle, you're creating a space and a paved path for people to read what you're saying and connect to you on an emotional level. Because let's face it, all of us have felt pain. We've all felt struggle. We've all been in that spot where we've been like sweating, nervous. Most of us have been there, and that's who we're talking, or where we're talking to, is in that space for those people, because the people who are reading your post, they're in that space right now. And they're the ones who are reading about your struggle, they're feeling your pain, and pain instigates reaction. Okay, so when they hear that, they'll feel it. They'll actually feel that physical feeling and remember what it was like when they went through that time, or maybe they're going through that time right now. And that's going to create that connection to you, which is so much more powerful than just posting like an inspirational post saying like, I see this all the time, that network marketers do this. They'll post an inspirational post telling people what they should do, what they should feel. You should go after all your dreams. You should do this, you should do that, even though the person who's posting this is probably feeling a struggle just the same as anybody else. I know anyone can relate to that feeling of being without or being in the struggle. So when you're like acknowledging that, you're going to attract people who feel the same. And you're painting a picture for people to like picture themselves in this situation. So 80% when you're telling your story, okay, when you're going to see this in tasks, if you're in any of our group chats or anything like that, you're going to see sometimes we're going to say, share your story, because you can share your story in a million different ways. A lot of us have had like crazy pasts. I mean, we don't have to bring up everything in our past, but 80% of our story should be sharing that struggle, because this is where your audience is going to relate to you. This is where they're going to feel that connection, and it creates that level of trust with somebody. So that's your first part. When you're sharing your story, you want to share like what you've been through. And I'll give you guys an example of this after. Number 2 is, how did you find your solution, AKA this business? So how did you find it? For myself, in the middle of myself, like asking the universe, like, holy moly, there must be something more than what is happening in my life right now. There has to be more out there. There has to be more than working 24 hours a day, almost living paycheck to paycheck and barely making ends meet. There's got to be more than that. And as I was like in this space of trying to figure out what I could do differently to reach my goals, I found somebody reached out to me about this kind of business, this industry, and I remember looking at their page and thinking, there's no way I could do that. And this goes into the third thing. So the second part of the formula is, how did you find it? Mention how you found it. I was on Facebook one day and saw somebody posting about all the things that, I've always wanted, and it made me curious. And then going into the third, you want to cover people's skepticisms. So you can say, I saw her posting about, being able to travel the world, or being able to stay at home with their kids, or being able to quit their full-time job and stay at home and work from home. But I was skeptical because I didn't know if I was the kind of person she would want to work with. I have kids, so I don't know if I have enough time for this. All those common objections and skepticisms that we hear, we want to acknowledge that without, what's the word? Going on to like attack mode or targeting mode. You're just like casually inserting that this is how you felt when you saw this person's post, because that leaves room for the person to think, oh, well, I felt that way too. If they see that you're writing in your post that, I didn't think I could do this because I didn't have a social media following. You may have someone on your page who's reading that, who's been following you and maybe interested in doing this, but they look at their social media following and think that they can't do this. But now that you're, putting it into light and saying that you had that same fear, it makes them feel like they're the same as you, which, again, we know this now that we're in in this business now that we almost every single person has the exact same fears: fear of failure, fear of not having enough time, fear of not being good at social media, all those kinds of things. And so again, they'll read those objections, relate, and then they'll be able to borrow some of your bravery and think, okay, like if she can do it and she was afraid of the same things, that I can do it too. So that's your third part. The fourth part of your post, and when I was talking about 80% of your posts should be about your struggle, because that's where you're going to relate to people. 20% is going to be about your success now. And for a lot of us, because let's face it, almost every single person in here definitely has been into this company for 2 months or less. Because I've only been in it for, I guess, 2.5 months. So really, this is a perfect space for us to really share about where our life was at before we decided to go after something new. And you want to keep this slim because you want your audience to fill in the blanks with their own dreams. So, you can add in little parts and say something like, you acknowledged all the skepticisms, and now you're saying, I decided to do this, and now I'm working at paying off all my debt. I've been able to make extra payments on my credit card or extra payments on my mortgage. I'm working towards buying a new home. I'm creating financial relief for my family. You can talk about what you're doing and why you're doing this and your goal. You don't have to say, oh yeah, I'm debt free now and I bought all this, and like, you're not going to sit there and lie about what you're doing. You're going to talk about what you are going after, because the thing is there's so many people out there struggling right now who will use all the excuses and who will never actually make the choice to work towards what they actually want. So when they see that you have these goals and that you actually made a decision, a really freaking hard decision, even though you had all these fears, you did it anyway, that is inspiring. That is inspiration right there. Not just some cliche quote that you stole off of somebody else's page, right? While that is fine sometimes, you want the majority of what you're talking about on your page to be raw and real and you, because that's where people are going to relate to you. So like I said, leave that part. You don't even have to go into too much detail about your goals and where you're going with this, because you want to leave that space for people to insert their own dreams and leave that blank space for them. So number 5, the last part of writing this post is going to be to invite them to message you. And that is another one of the big objections that I hear all the time is people will say, and it's so crazy because I like, to us, I'm like, dang, if anybody wants to come work with me, they just have to message me and we'll chat. But a lot of people will read your posts or read my posts and think, well, I don't know if she'd want to work with me because I don't have a lot of time and I'm not good at this or whatever. They have all these fears that maybe they would message me and I'd reject them. There's so many people out there that are just simply afraid of rejection. And I'm one of those, used to be one of those people. Okay. So I get that. So you want to invite them to message you. At the end of that post, you're going to make a call to action, whether it be, text a smiley face emoji to your phone number. If you don't want to put your phone number up, you can say, message the word information to my inbox or whatever, a call to action, and invite them to message you if they have more info. So like I said, the cool thing about this is what's going to set you apart from every other network marketer out there. Because everybody is so different. Everybody has a unique story, and your story is going to speak to somebody else's. My story is going to speak to different people than Kelsey's or Natalie's or Kat's or Amanda's. We all have something different and unique to offer. And maybe somebody who would be amazing on Amanda's team and she could teach them well, maybe her and I wouldn't vibe. And that's okay. You're not going to vibe with everybody. You want to attract your people to you. And social media can feel so empty and kind of weird sometimes almost polarized because we have all these filters, we have all this like copy and paste culture, we have all this shared stuff that we kind of just like fill up space with. And when we can actually open up and show people who we are and what we've been through and the struggles we've overcome, that's where you're going to create that emotional connection. And like I said, when someone hears the same motivational quote or the same like things over and over and over and over, it's going to lose its power. And I see that so much with network marketers as they just take like these generic posts basically that are just telling people how to live their life. I see it all the time. Okay, I'll even give you guys an example. I'll find one when we're done this. So anyways, I really hope that helped you guys. I hope you guys could write some notes down with that, because this is how you're going to create a lasting and authentic business. This is how you're going to create people who actually want to follow you and join your team and join you, because let's face it, there are so many different companies out there. There are lots of good products out there. And Jamie did such an amazing training on this today about your pillars, and I won't go into that because you'll just have to go watch it. But if you're like posting just about your Q Science business and about business, products, people aren't going to relate to that. They're not going to look at that. They're going to look at you and they're going to join you and want to be on your team, have you train them, and so on and so forth. So anyways, that is how you share your story. And that is a task that you may not get done tonight, but if you can, awesome. But if you just want to get it started and post it tomorrow, whatever you want to do, I just wanted to share with you guys and go a little bit deeper into how you should be posting to create or to attract the people that are right for your business. Okay, so that was your first task. Write it down. Okay, so we're going to get into the power hour part of this. And I'm going to still show you guys something actually that I did yesterday. And I'm going to show you guys how I did it. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see. I always forget how to do this AirPlay thing. Share screen mirroring. Okay, you guys can see my screen. Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. So, oh, I already canceled it. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a story post share your story on your story. That makes sense. So I'll just do it really quick so you guys can see how simple this is. So I'm going to pick any one of my pictures. Let's do this one. So I'm going to share my struggle on my story. Okay. So I want you guys to do this with me. Okay. Grab your phones and you're going to make your own story on your story. Okay. So we're going to share our struggle with a picture. I used to my card. Oh, no. Sometimes I mess up my wording. You declined. The cash. Oh. I'm paying for gas with quarters and dimes. Okay, so this is a little tip for you guys who don't know how to make pretty stories. So if you click this color button and then this little thing down at the bottom there, you can make it so that your colors kind of match your, actually I don't like that color. Let's do this one, there we go. Your colors can kind of match your picture, okay? So you can add in your wording. So sometimes this is what I'll do. I'll set it so that it's good, readable, looks nice. Oops. Then I'll click here and then I'll click save. Okay, so I saved it. Now, okay. So you can change like the wording. So like if you want it to be like this, it's like that fits nice. So I'm going to save it. So then let's go back. So now when I go to post it to my story, I'll post like this. I'll post both pictures. So now when I turn my story on, people are going through my story, they'll come onto this picture, they'll click next slide, and then the next letters will come down underneath what I'd already put up. So you guys do this with me because we're going to keep going. So share your struggle. And we're going to make another picture. Find another picture in your phone. It can be anything. I'll even use a picture of my dog. Let's do that. Okay, Bozzy, so cute. So again, I'm going to change the color so it looks nice. So I'm going to save. I'm sure I'm staying on track here. Okay, so remember you're sharing what your life was like before, your struggle, then you're sharing where you saw like how you came across this business. So I kept seeing people starting online businesses, intrigued me. And now I'm acknowledging a objection. So I kept seeing people starting online businesses, but honestly, I thought I would suck at it. And a part of me thought I was too good for it. So I'm going to save. Usually I do this all at once, but just for the sake of showing you guys. So now let's find another one. Oops, gosh, I can't spell. Sometimes it takes me a while to get through these because I cannot spell, apparently. And sometimes too, like I like to add, actually a lot of the times, actually should have been doing this the whole time. Sometimes I forget, okay? I'm human, forget. But I like to add like little stickers, like arrows are my favorite ones to use. It just catches people's eyes and it makes their eyes go to my writing. I'm gonna share. Then my last picture, I'm gonna use this one. So now I'm gonna share my life now. And for you, okay, actually I'm gonna change this because I want to like show you guys if you're newer and obviously like you're just getting into this and you're just going after your goals right now. Oh my gosh. So this is something like I would write if I was just starting. Okay. So now I'm able to start thinking about total financial freedom, which was never a possibility before. I'm excited about paying off all my debt, growing my savings, and being able to quit corporate America and spend my time doing the things I actually enjoy. So you're just going to do one simple, like quick blurb about your goals. Okay. So what are you working towards? Right. So this is something that if I was newer, that I would say. So I'm just going to change it because we're making it for myself. Oh no, now I'm muted. Oh my gosh, now I'm muted. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. My laptop shut down, even though it was fully charged. I'm having the worst luck with technology these last few days. Ask everyone on my team lately. Okay, so I'm gonna get back into that. So, where were we? We were doing our stories. Is everyone still here? Can you give me a thumbs up if you're all still here? Okay, there we are. Okay, so we'll go back to our story. We're just creating our last one. Hey, Kels. Okay. So annoying. I'm so sick of my technology lately. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you guys, I can just show you guys again. My phone's dying too. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so this was the last slide that I put up. So I just shared, where I'm going, where life is at now. So now I'm going to invite them. So what I like to do, oops. I didn't share. I didn't save it. Okay. So I'm just going to pick any picture. Let's do this one. Okay, so I'm just going to invite them. So I like to my pictures that I can put this to the side. So I'm going to put a poll. So with polls, I always make sure that it's like both something positive. More info, please. Okay. Boom. So now we just made a story together, sharing your story. I get tons of, and see, it looks pretty. I always get tons of feedback from these kinds of stories. Okay. Okay, so finish that up. And then I'm going to move on to the next task. If you're not done that last task, just keep going and get that finished. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and interact with 25 people on my stories, on my Instagram story and my Facebook story. So, you know what? I'm just going to share my screen again. You guys, if you have questions at all, pop them in the chat and I will get to them. Oh yeah, and I want to show you guys this too. Actually, I can't. Okay, so if you go to your page and then you go to archive here, so you click those three lines and you go to archive, you can see all your old stories that you've posted. So this was the one that I posted from yesterday. So I had some people vote. I already messaged the other two people, but this girl I haven't messaged yet. So what you can do is you can just click that message button on the side.
Okay, sometimes I have to rewrite what I'm saying, so I'm like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Okay, so that's like a simple message that I send when people vote on my poll. So make sure that you're going back and looking at the people who are voting. And then also, I always like to look at my archive and I'll go back to like, some of oh my gosh, that's a lot. So this story got 500 views. So I'm actually going to go through here. And we're going to do this because I'm going to get you guys for our last task to invite, but I'm actually going to go through here and invite all the people who viewed this story and ask them if they're open to taking a look at what I'm doing. I'm going to invite them to the webinar. So whenever somebody likes or views my stories, those are the people I'm going to start interacting with, and I'm going to invite them to our webinar. So right now, you guys, I want you to go through your stories. So you can go to your story archive and you can interact with the people who have viewed your story, or you can go through the people's stories up top here. And actually, if you scroll down this way, depending on how many like people you're following or how many followers, usually all my like actual friends are at the front. And then the people who I like don't interact with enough they all go to the back here. So these are the people who I'm going to go through and start interacting with. And then sometimes I'm like, it's stuff that I'm like, huh? So I just like to reply to all their stories. Oops. So it's my kind of reading. So I just like to interact, chat with them, start conversations. I'm going to stop my share so I can see if I get any questions. So you guys are going to go through and we're going to interact with 25 people. So comment done when you're done. So a lot of times too, like right now, I just remembered I need to follow up with some of the people on my 20s list, which I'm going to go over with you guys in a minute. But the people who, if you haven't done your ABC training, you need to go do that and get your ABC lists written out. So the people who you um, think would rock it at this business, but you need to build relationships with them more, make sure you're going to their page and interacting with them almost on the daily. So I need to go to some of those people and make sure I interact with them. Just a couple more minutes, then we'll move on to the next. So I do this every day on my Facebook and Instagram. I interact with at least 25 people. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next task. So I just want to talk about following up really quick because I think this is something that a lot of people overthink way too much. We think that there's something like special we have to say when we follow up with somebody. And a lot of it is using your discernment. If you've asked somebody like 3 times for like, hey, have you watched the video yet? Hey, have you watched the video yet? I mean, that's kind of not the best approach to go about it. But I always explain it in the sense that following up doesn't necessarily have to mean you messaging someone to ask them if they've hopped on the webinar yet, or ask them again if they're interested in signing up. If somebody's like ghosted you a couple times and you're like, I just don't really know where to go from there. That's when I just bring it back to being their friend. That's when I just bring it back to, like, for example, um, today I had there's a girl who's ghosted me a couple of times. But I know she's just busy with school. Like, we always take it personal and think it's us and think that they're like rejecting us. When that's usually not the case. They just have lives and stuff gets busy, and that's like the last thing that they're thinking about. But it's what all we think about, right? So we're like, oh my God, we take it so personal. But anyways, this girl, she's busy because she's been like finishing up her schooling and all that kind of stuff. And anyways, I saw this meme today and it was about like people finishing up their last exams, and it was just like something funny. I can't remember what it said, but I saved it. It was from Instagram, and then I sent it to her, and I was like, "It made me think of you. Hope you're surviving the last little bit of your school." And she was like, "Oh, thank you. You're so sweet." And we laughed and we just kind of chatted. And then we left it at that. And then later tonight, because I sent that to her this morning, later, just like a little while ago, she sent me a message and was just like, "Hey, also, I keep meaning to watch the video. I've just been so busy. Like, I definitely want to start this in the new year though, because I've been watching your team kick ass and I've been seeing you promoting this and I really want to join you. I just can't until after my schooling's done." Fair, right? But that was a follow-up right there. Just me reaching out and being a friend to her and like just showing her that I'm not just like bugging her, being like, "Hey, hey, hey, you ready?" So I want you guys to go find those follow-ups that you have. Maybe they just haven't replied to you yet. Maybe they've ghosted you, and just kind of kick up that conversation again where you're just being their friend. Okay, so we're just going to spend a couple minutes doing that, and then we'll do our last task, and then we're done. Okay, so now we're done following up. We're gonna start inviting a few new people to come to the presentation tomorrow. So I have a few people on my list I've been interacting with, and like you guys, I always get super nervous before inviting. I do. It's normal. So if you're feeling nervous, we're gonna do this together. We'll get through it. Okay. So I personally like to send voice notes. But there are a couple people that I am just going to send a message to. So this is honestly exactly what I send. I'm going to put it in the chat. So usually I like to start by like replying to one of their stories or something like in their, if they have one up, or I'll acknowledge something that we've talked about before, or maybe one of their last posts. So something like, oh my gosh. Okay, so the call to net or tomorrow is at 7:30 Central and one at 8:30 Central. So there's two. So whatever one you want to invite to, but you guys just send out these messages, okay? Don't even think about it. Obviously use your discernment with each person, but let's send this out. So we're gonna go overtime because we got a little cut off there. We're going to spend the next 5-10 minutes doing this. Let's get at least 5 messages out. We got this. We're inviting for the one tomorrow night, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Central. The 8 p.m. was tonight. Okay, I got out 6 messages. I'm gonna still keep working on it. So I actually had someone ask me how many people I'm interacting with in a day. I usually, like, on my power hours say, like, get 25 people a day, but I honestly do quite a bit more than that, just because I wanna get to my goals faster, and I know that the more people we talk to, the more people we build relationships with, the faster you're gonna have more success with this, because you're going to have more people to message and invite to the calls, and you're going to have this is all a numbers game. So obviously you want to go at your pace, but I also encourage you to step outside your comfort zone and just do that little bit extra. Same with growing my network. Like, I grow my network every single day. We didn't do that today on this power hour because I kind of took some more time explaining how to share your story and all that. But you know, I think that it's so crucial and it's not that I just think that, that's what I've learned being in this industry for the last 6.5 years and finding success here, is I know that growing my network, interacting with people, building relationships is just going to get me to my goals faster. So I want to do it as much as possible, because I'm going to be honest, I don't ever want to have to go back to another job again. It's never going to happen for me. I can't do it. So that's just my personal goal. I make it also a goal to be intentional with what I'm posting. I'm not just going and copy and pasting other people's posts. I'm trying to be as humble, raw, real as possible so that people can get to know me and relate to me in that way. Um, so I mean, Jamie did such a good training today on how to figure out your 5 pillars. And we'll go into that again more, but figure out what makes you you and what you want to be posting about, and get out of that mindset of trying to be inspirational, because that's where things get lost. Just be you. Okay, use your pillars, be you, be raw, and you're gonna have that much more of like that much more interaction back to you. And remember, social media is an interactive platform. They want us to be interacting. They want us to be talking to each other. So if you're not commenting on people's stuff, if you're not building relationships with people by reaching out to them just to like cheer them on and give them compliments, then nobody's going to do that to you. You have to be the one to do it. And then they will all start coming back at you. I promise you, if you do this every single day, your inbox is going to be blown up with people just chatting back with you. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for popping on with me. We're going to do another power hour this week that will hopefully my laptop will just stay charged the whole time. It's so insane. Anyways, thank you guys so much. And I love you all. And I'm so excited for what's going to happen for all of us in this business. We'll talk soon. Bye.